अरे खुद अंतिम करणे कैसा लग रहा है?
उच्चा बोला कर।
बोलो जी मेरे बंद पिंजरे के से। तू साला भी मेरे ऑर्डर से ही देगा। मन्ना तेरे से ज्यादा परवाह है टेम की। अजी ऊंचा बोला करो, आप सीएम के हस्बैंड हो।
So first of all, Nimrat, I would like to start this interview by saying that I loved Dasvi. I loved your role in it. And
Thank you.
I mean, we watched it, the whole family watched the movie together. We were laughing, we were crying. It was sweet.
Oh, that's lovely to know. Thank you very, very much. I think that's the best part about a film like that the whole family can sit and enjoy it together. So wonderful to know. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
So Nimrat, let's start by talking about, you recently posted about body positivity. And that is something that, such shaming, especially for celebs who are in the limelight, they quite often face it from trolls, from people, randomly. Internet is a free place. Anyone's writing anything. What are your, we are talking about weight loss, weight gain. Let's just first start by body positivity.
Well, actually, Kalpana, see, I just want to come from a place of complete honesty. When I decided to put this post out, I did not write only from the point of view of a person who suffers, the receiving end of inappropriate behavior from people, from other people when it comes to making comments or untoward remarks and things like that.
Right.
It was also for the greed of speaking to people who are not aware of the impact of the statements they make. People just walk about and they just say anything to anybody because they feel like they're coming from a good place, or they feel like they don't need to think about it at all. Because it's not even a thought. People don't even pay attention to what they say and why they say what they say. So for me, the greed of putting that post was actually for both kinds of people. And I had personally never experienced anything like this before in my life. I've never been of a size or a shape or a color or a height or anything or whatever that can be an easy target. It's not like I haven't been on the receiving end of criticism regarding my physicality, but I've not been an easy target. So with having gone through the experience of putting on this kind of weight that I did for the part, what I noticed was exactly this, that for people who have to live with such vulnerabilities, with the society that we live in and the world that we live in, where projection are based upon it just made me. It gave me sleepless nights, imagining how difficult it must be for those kind of people. People who don't conform to an accepted body type or an accepted skin color or features or whatever else, is socially the norm. So I just, it's more an observation on the times we live in and the society we inhabit. So that was that. Yeah.
Yes, because rightly said, because in my profession I've spoken to so many mental health experts, nutritionists, and one thing that they all say that this sort of bullying, pulling people down because of how they look, what size they are, is something that scars people for life. So especially when done in their growing up years. And so coming to the character of Dasvi, when you were told that you're supposed to gain a certain amount of weight, what was your first reaction?
Honestly, I wasn't given a number. It was more a look we were trying to achieve. And, it was more about disappearing behind an exterior which was unrecognizable as So there wasn't a weight in mind, or like it was more a look. It was more a gait that one needed to achieve. Physically. I was nervous, Kalpana. I was very nervous. I was very scared. I was really, honestly, I have never been more intimidated by a process which I could see up ahead of me than this process. I have never been more nervous or intimidated by the requirements of a path from me. So I had to really have the right kind of conversations with myself. I was surrounded by very, very healthy voices, one of whom were Jhanvi, my nutritionist, who was diligent and ever present and available on a day-to-day basis. And she was very, very, she was that uh, guiding, correct guiding voice that you need at a time like this, where she could understand as a girl what I was getting nervous about, as an actor what I was getting nervous about. She understood that exact combination, because those two things are very different. I mean, as an actor, I can justify a lot of things to myself, but as a girl, I can't justify absolutely everything. So she really made sure that I got rid of all of my nerves, and just gently nudging me towards that path and letting me know that it's not all you don't have to be worried about things. There will be a positive outcome as well. And it was very interesting to go through that journey, knowing that I was not going to fit into my clothes. I will need a whole new wardrobe eventually. It's almost like, I think, when people prepare to have a baby. It's like, I was like, oh my God, yeah, what am I embarking on? Like, really, a part of me was very nervous, a part of me was excited, I was anxious, I was feeling all kinds of things without, the anticipation of a child at the end of it. I was like, my God, this is somewhat maybe what people go through, maybe, so it was a pretty interesting time when I had just started, walking that path of eating a certain amount of calories and all of that. And thereon, I started to enjoy the fact that, okay, now, what, then your body just relaxes, you start to surrender, you start to enjoy the process. I had my mom packing 30 prathas, because I had started putting on the weight around Diwali 2020.
Okay.
And thereon, up until about March 2021 is when I had the time to put all that weight on. And I was a happy 15-16 kilos over and above when I started from. So it was a really interesting time, because I really then went into it hook, line and sinker, and I was enjoying three desserts a day and having parathas for breakfast, lunch, snacks, everything. Like, I really had.
So bring in Jhanvi at this point. Jhanvi, please tell me, the last time we had spoken, you did tell me you're working with Nimrat. What was the experience like? What were her queries? How did you calm her down? Like, we can obviously, the way she's saying she was anxious. What was the whole process like?
Firstly, thank you, Nimrat, for all the good words. But I think, for her, it was totally acceptable for her to feel like that, because why would somebody want to gain, a certain number of kgs and look a certain way? I've been through 2 pregnancies, and the first thing you're always anxious about is what's going to happen about the weight gain. Will I be able to lose it? So the whole idea was, I constantly kept telling her was, just enjoy the process. Let's work on every day. Let's work on how we can, gain weight in a healthier way, where she can look good as well. Like, I feel Nimrat's skin was looking so beautiful. Every time that I met her, she was glowing and glowing, just like how she said, like a pregnant woman looks. I feel her skin was doing so well, and that was also because she was feeling, she was happy about the process. And it's very important to enjoy whatever you're doing, whether you're on a weight loss or a weight gain, it's important to be in the moment and enjoy, and not worry about what we have, what's going about the outcome or what's going to happen later. So,
Right.
the weight gain was something that we had to focus on at that point, and that's what I was trying to help her out with. And I said during the weight loss as well, I'm going to be there, but right now let's work on what is wanted out of the character. And she's I think she's the highlight of Dasvi. I absolutely loved the movie, and especially her performance, and I've heard this from so many people. Everyone I meet keeps telling me about how wonderful she is in the movie.
Yes, yes. In fact, you rightly said that, I mean, she's glowing. She looks happy. She looks really, like there's a calmness to her. I mean, someone who's gaining weight would otherwise be very worried. So, coming back to you, Nimrat, are you generally a foodie, or you can control your cravings?
Well, I have a massive weakness for sweets, and I blame the state I come from. And it's a deadly combination of Punjab being my birth, my where I hail from, and then Rajasthan being my domicile state. So both these, influences in my life leave me no choice but to have an insatiable sweet tooth. So I have to really keep that in check, because I can polish off tubs of ice creams, dabbas of mithais, you name it. And I'm least fussy when it comes to sweets and desserts and things. Like I really envy people when they're like, oh, this has to be a certain way, this has to be that. I mean, as long as something sweet, I'm on. So it's like I really have to watch that out, because eventually sugar is not good for your body, and it's all kinds of ailments, and it leads to all kinds of problems and aging, and all kinds of things. So I have to be careful about that. But otherwise, I really love my phone, Kalpana. I've never deprived myself of anything. I come from a house where, every conversation eventually becomes about what we're eating next. At lunch, we're discussing dinner. At dinner, we're discussing breakfast. So it's very, very simple. So it's like, when you grow up a certain way, your relationship with food is very, very healthy. And it's never been, like I don't abuse my body in the name of food. So I'm careful about what I eat, but what I enjoy eating and what I know is good for my body, I really have a very good relationship with that stuff. So I don't deprive myself. I treat myself every now and then, and I really do enjoy my food a lot.
So Nimrat, when you were in the process of gaining weight, were you also parallelly, doing your workouts?
Well, honestly, I tried to do as much stretching and things as I could, because I know that with gaining so much weight at my height, I'm 5'4", and I'm not a very wide-boned person. So at my height, with my bone structure, to put on about 15 kilos was a lot, for my joints and things to carry. So I try to keep, stretching and things like that, because the first thing that starts to suffer is your flexibility, So my body had changed, and, my flexibility levels had dropped. I couldn't help that beyond a point. And I couldn't step outside the house very much, because gyms were not open, and we were still in and out of lockdowns, and all of that was going on. So I couldn't really have a proper regime. And because I was physically changing and transforming and all of that, I didn't want to be out and about and be photographed, because then what happens is that, invariably some or the other person will catch you in your workout gear or something, and then, your size variation becomes very visible, which was not in the interest of, a look that we were trying to protect. So I was a little bit hamstrung for that reason. But I tried to, and I remember that Jhanvi too had put down very diligently at every point in time, that what kind of yoga asanas can I do. She's very well aware of Iyengar yoga, which is what I am a huge fan of, and I'm personally into. So during that process, I tried to keep, my body flexible. That was my first and foremost priority.
Okay.
So yeah, I try to do that a lot.
What do you think is more difficult? Was it difficult to gain weight or to lose it?
Well, initially, if you are a body type like mine, which hasn't been beyond a certain weight ever,
right,
it's difficult because the body doesn't listen very quickly. It's used to a certain metabolic rate, and it's not very used to putting the weight on. So it took my body some time to listen to the instructions of what I was eating. That it had to stop. It had to stop going into that mode of burning things off quickly. But once it started to listen, then I was in cruise control, But I have to say that for anyone, after a certain point, I think it does become more and more difficult to lose the weight and lose the weight the right way. That is very important. It's not easy to just, because by then you've also gotten used to eating a lot more. Your appetite has increased. The size of your stomach has expanded.
Right.
So all kinds of things happen, and then as women we also go through hormonal changes. So it's like you have to factor in a lot of things, and you have to be very careful on the way back down, so that you don't go into some shock mode, which is again where Jhanvi really helped me tremendously. Because what had happened was that I actually got stuck with 3 days of work. Right before the lockdown happened in 2021. I got stuck with 3 days of work, and then I had to maintain the weight pretty much endlessly. Like, we didn't know when we were going to start shooting again. And it was only 3 days of work, and I had continuity to stick to. So I tried to contain as much of the weight within me as possible. But my sleep had taken a hit. And then I was stressed about, how long am I going to have to keep the weight? And, all of those kind of complications had started to set in.
Right.
Then once those 3 days of work were done, then I started to work out a little bit. And me being me, I'm an all or nothing kind of a person. I injured my calf, and then I had a calf tear, and it's called a tennis leg. And I went into, so it's been a saga, this whole journey has been so unprecedented. Then I was recovering from that for about 3 months. So in effect, I've not really kind of come back to the momentum of how I'm used to working out, because life has also become extremely busy since Dasvi. I've been shooting, traveling. So it's been a very long and a very slow process. The one thing I learned the most out of it all was patience, and how to be extremely forgiving no matter where you are with your body, and how to enjoy it no matter what it's at. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so the largeness of me had to be perfect. And then when I've, had to start losing the weight, I was keen to get back to my, Goldilocks zone, as I call it. It's that perfect zone, you find yourself, most comfortable in. So I've learned to be much more patient and forgiving.
Yeah.
And I've become very, very, I think, healthy with my relationship with my body, even though I've never had body issues or anything like that. But I think there's always scope for improvement for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's been my biggest takeaway from this entire journey. Yeah.
Jhanvi, something that I would like to ask you, these days people, I've been just hearing people coining this term that, calorie in, calorie out. Is weight loss as simple as that?
See, honestly, even if one calculates the number of calories you're eating, you don't know what's happening with those calories, right? You don't know how much your body is metabolizing it. So, calculating calories in versus calories out is more like a term or a calculation on paper. But what happens in a real body is we have emotions, we have hormones, we have so many things that we have. And like Nimrat mentioned, patience and being forgiving, these are such beautiful lines that she mentioned, because that's what I constantly tell my clients, having that positive body image with yourself and having a positive relationship with your body is the most important step of weight loss. If you start loving your body for the way it is and not waiting to reach a certain size or certain weight on the scale and then start loving your body, you will enjoy the process of weight loss. I feel more than calories, I personally look at nutrients, or I look at the nutrient to calorie ratio in food. So if your food is giving you X number of calories, but if it's giving you equal or even more number of nutrients, then it's a food that you should really look at, or it's a food that is more nutrient dense for you. Other than just counting calories and then eating anything which fits in that calorie calculation. So that's what I tell my clients.
Okay. So, Jhanvi, can you tell us a bit about the diet that you put Nimrat on for gaining weight?
I think Nimrat would also love to share that. I think it's everybody's delight being on a weight gain, and that's also the first thing that I tell whoever I've worked with until now, that this is the time that you will be able to eat everything. But see, there were a few things that I wanted to keep in mind. Is firstly that it should not affect her skin. Her skin should look good without any breakouts and all of that. So we did more of a wholesome diet. What do you want me to mention? You want me to mention every meal that she was eating, or
you came through it. If you run us through it.
So usually in the mornings, she would have a few soaked black raisins and soaked almonds, and then would be her breakfast after her yoga practice, which usually would be something which is either eggs and some kind of a good quality fat there, or we would end it with a small dessert. Then usually her mid mornings were more fluids or something to drink like nariyal pani, or then if she would be stepping out, then I think she would usually carry a fruit, or then some dessert, probably if she's somewhere and she wants to eat. I think she did a lot of laddus and pinnis and stuff.
Yeah. Parathas and white butter were a constant during my winter time.
Yes.
Parathas. White butter from home and parathas, for
white
breakfast.
butter and parathas. Our focus was more on, like I said, the nutrient to calorie ratio. So even if she is getting the calories, but we were looking at ensuring that she's also getting more nutrients, and that usually comes from everything which is a homemade sweet, or a mithai, ya fir paranthes with white butter, or even if it's like a chole bhature or rajma chawal or whatever. Everything which is homemade has that additional nutrient value to it.
Right. Yeah, so the entire focus was on a healthy weight gain, which happened. And how did the weight loss diet change then? Were the carbs kept out?
No, I don't think Nimrat really believes in going off carbs at all.
Yeah, not at all.
And that was something that, like what she mentioned, she's very clear and she's very aware about her body. And that's one thing I really liked about her was, she was honestly not that worried about the weight loss. The minute she started gaining her weight, she was really enjoying that process, and she knew that she will be able to manage the whole weight loss process because she's very well aware about her body. She's very connected to her body. She has a regular yoga practice, and she's also very she was in great shape, and she's been extremely fit because she also has done a few series where she had to I think the test case you had mentioned yes. So she was in a very fit zone before we started that weight gain diet. So which I feel also for her and her body initially was a little resistant towards the weight gain. The body was not easily gaining that weight. It was because the body always has a memory of being fit. Then it does not want to push the metabolism or drop the metabolism that easily.
Right. That's interesting. So Nimrat, before we end this conversation, please tell us what's your daily routine like, when it comes to eating and workout. And, what is you want to tell all the girls out there?
To answer the first part of your question, I have, I start my day with some soaked almonds and nuts, and and then I go on to have a nice cup of tea. I put jaggery. So I try to substitute sugar with a healthier version of sweet, whether it's jaggery or honey or whatever else. So I do that in my tea, for instance, in the morning. And then I have, a breakfast which is like egg whites and, maybe a gluten-free toast. And then I have like a nice lunch, dal, sabzi, roti, or dal, sabzi, rice. I'm more a rice lover than roti. And then in the evening, I like to have like a cup of coffee. So I have that, sometimes with a small snack. And then dinners are normally light, chicken or fish and vegetables and, all of that. And once in a while, I have a dessert if I feel like, and I like to have my dessert in the early part of the day. So, the idea is that you just need to be a little bit clever about what you're eating when, so that your body doesn't feel like you're not giving me anything to enjoy myself with. I think it's important to just kind of treat your body as a separate entity that you need to be, that you need to pamper every once in a while, so that it's not all regime and all of that. Oh yeah, and also I like to work out in the early part of the day. So, after my tea, I normally have, a workout session. It's normally functional training, or sometimes it's a nice long yoga session. So that happens just before breakfast. And I mean, all the girls out there, I would just like to say that, listen to your body more than anyone else. Don't let magazines and people, be the judge of what you should look like and what your happy zone is. I would always say, just, and also at the same time, one must always be clear that, this body is the only body we'll have till the end of our days. There is no body B, as I say. This is the only body, that you're going to inhabit. So look after it, nourish it, love it, cherish it. And remember that even on your worst day, there will be someone out there who'll wish they had your body instead of theirs. So never take that for granted. These are all eventually first world problems. I mean, we have all our limbs and organs in place. For someone who doesn't have, who has one lesser hand or one lesser leg, look at life from their point of view and see how blessed we are. And I mean, at the end of the day, we must remember that these are all first world conversations. So that's
absolutely
what I would. Yeah.
That's very beautiful thought. And
yes,
thank you so much, Nimrat and Jhanvi, for joining us.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you for all your kind words, Jhanvi. Thank you very much. And thanks for the lovely questions, Kalpana. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for taking
Thank
out
you
time.
so much, Kalpana.
Thank
you so much, Nimrat.
Thank you.
Done.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Bye.